Hey guys, how's it going? Capan here. Today I want to talk about how to fix your opening hand in Hearthstone, how to mulligan your cards, how to mulligan to beat certain decks, and weighing in risk and opportunity. And this is one of the most important skill sets in Hearthstone. There is like the basic aspect that covers the general side of the situations, which is most of what I'll talk about today. But more important, there is the specific side. And to really master this aspect of knowing exactly what cards to keep, what cards to throw, going first versus going second, and analyzing the whole situation in a specific, particularly constructed deck is something you guys just have to play a specific deck a lot and understand every single other matchup to actually perform very well. And that is one of the biggest things that specifically pro Hearthstone players have going for them, that they invest this time. They are very meticulous about knowing exactly how to fine-tune their opening hands, and that is largely why they are very successful. But in the general case, there are some very important rules that I feel a lot of people don't realize and don't really follow that are also very important to understand. So opening hands, the very basic principle is that if you know you are not favored to win against your opponent, you should take a bigger risk in getting a more optimal opening hand, because if you don't, well, you're just going to lose anyway. And this is often something that you encounter playing Arena, specifically against certain classes, specifically at certain amount of wins, because in Arena you are matched up against people who have the same record as you, and if you are doing very well for what you think you have, if you assess that you have a pretty mediocre deck, and let's say you're at like 9 wins, well, you're going to face someone who's around 9 wins, and that means they also should have a better deck. But if you feel you've been kind of lucky, and let's say you're playing like Paladin, and you're against a Rogue, and that's a really bad matchup, and while you might have a pretty okay 3-drop or something like that, you might choose to get rid of everything in order to try to get your 1-drop, because if you don't get a really dominant start against some of these guys, you're just not going to have any chance of winning. So assessing that is very, very important, and usually I do play that specific way. I do try to understand, which classes are going to give me a lot of trouble, and I try to take risks more or less based on that. Now, the second really big aspect is whether or not you go first or second. Going first gives you, 3 cards, and hopefully they work out. And that's usually where you have to take a bigger risk and mulligan your hand, versus going second where you have 4 cards. And because you go second, you often can coin out a bigger creature earlier in the game. And usually this, at least in Arena, comes down to coining out a very powerful 4-drop, because almost every 4-drop beats almost every 3-drop, where this is not necessarily the case at any other level in mana. So if you are going second, typically what you can, and honestly what you should be doing if you don't have that many 1-drops, if you see your first original 4 cards and you have a pretty good 4-drop, let's say you have like a Yeti or equivalent, you can keep the Yeti for the coin, and you often will want to drop everything else unless you have an acceptable 2-drop. If you have a really bad 2-drop and you have a decent number of 2-drops in your deck, and again you're in a bad matchup situation, you might just want to scrap everything. And if you have quite a lot of 4-drops, then you probably don't want to keep your 4-drop. It is a little bit dynamic, but understanding these parameters, understanding how you should behave, and weighing in your risk at the same time as well is very, very important. The absolute best opener, especially in Arena, is the going first 1, 2, 3. And if you go first and have a decent 1, a decent 2, and a decent 3, you likely will not lose that game. It is very difficult to accomplish that because most 1-drops are pretty rare. Most good 1-drops are even rarer, and the chance to get one going first in your opening hand is extremely unlikely. But preparing for that, and if you are against, again, really bad matchup, you should perhaps consider dropping every single piece from your hand just to increase the odds of you getting that 1-drop and just having, the amazing opener that you would need to actually win the game. So that's what's going on with that. But there are a few other things that are worth talking about, and this is something that has to do mostly with the recent style of Arena that I've seen. So I talked about how in the past a lot of people, when drafting an Arena, have a few very big minions, but you can't have too many big minions because then you just draw all those big minions and then you lose because you don't have a good opening hand. But the interesting thing is that the arena has been so tempo driven that not only do you kind of need a few big minions, but the in-between minions, like the 5 drops and the suboptimal 6 drops, don't really do much. So you have to have very high quality late game. You need to have like 2 or 3 pieces of not just late game, but of good late game. And because you don't need as much of like the 5 drop stuff, you just need more of the 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, maybe 4 drop. What happens is your hands are often much more consistent. And if you have like a good 1 drop or just a good 2 drop, but have very few pieces of late game in your deck, and you know when you're playing against like, let's say a control mage or a druid, it's most likely going to be a very slow game where your late game is going to be your final punch to actually finish the game off. Well, in those cases, in some very extreme cases, it's actually a good idea to keep a ridiculous late piece of your deck. This was kind of introduced with Mage. A few months ago, people talked about how sometimes it's correct to keep a Flame Strike in your opening hand, and I believe that's also true. If you're going second and you think you can save the coin for a board clear, even a late game board clear like Flame Strike, if it's the only one in your deck and you're facing a very board-centered class with very few burst mechanics, like Paladin, like maybe Shaman, something like that, then keeping a card, even like Flame Strike in your opening hand, is actually the correct way to play the game. So it is a little bit of back and forth. It is a little bit about understanding your given case rather than a general case. But there are a few parameters that I hope you guys can maybe better understand from my talk. Today I want to show you guys a clip of probably the most extreme mulligan situation. It is the highest casting cost card I ever kept in my opening hand, I think ever. And you guys can see how much of an impact it makes, even on an extremely high-level game. This is at 11 wins in Arena. It was quite a game. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys keep this in mind when you try new Arena decks, when you try new decks in Constructed, when you try to master your decks in Constructed, because it is often the difference that will separate a good player from a great one. So check out the clip. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys have learned something. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's a really good early game tempo opener. We have the good early game. Our entire deck is mid game. This is our late game. I'm going to keep Sneeds. That might be the first time I'm keeping an 8th drop in Arena in my opening hand. Oh, we don't have any other late game. Kidnapper. That's it. It's like keeping a Flame Strike, basically. I don't see the problem here.
Here we go.
Just watch. We're going to curve out until turn 8, and then we're going to place Needs. Oh, I've kept a turn 1 Varian. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I did do that. This is where things can go wrong. They mostly go wrong in the form of Hellfire or Shadow Flame, but I think we just gotta go for it. Okay. No way does he have 2 coils. Oh my god. It's pretty gross. Okay.
Feed the fish. Here we go.
Could have a board clear here because he drew a lot of cards. Doesn't. You have Soulfire? No Soulfire? Oh, that's fine then.
No, smash! It's time for a little blood. Give me a quest.
You get a stealth spare part.
Stop.
Taunt.
You want me killed?
Here we go.
No, smash!
Oh, it looks like I only have one card left in my hand. I wonder where I got that card from.
Shall we put a kink in their plan?
Interesting. Very interesting.
Careful.
It's a pretty good card there.
Engaging TC-130. Mental dislocated.
For Blackwood.
Here we go.
I like this play a little bit more because it prevents him from tapping. I'm out of steam right now, so if we give him the option to tap, we have some problems. Get a taunt. That sucks. That sucks a lot. Okay.
Here we go.
Alright. Let's see what he draws.
I'll put it on your head.
Is there a 2-mana taunt? Feast? I hope not. Yep. Oh, chat draft 12 wins. Sweet. The only game we lost, we got just really unlucky in. We did get pretty lucky in a lot of other games, to be fair. But we did concentrate our bad luck in that one. We did it, boys. We did it. Holy shit. That's a lot of gold. Alright, let's buy some packs. Chat carry. I'd be a terrible Hearthstone player without you guys. Thank you for the carry. Ooh, that's a nice one. Not that nice. That was honestly the best game you ever watched? Really? I mean, keeping Sneeze in the opener was definitely very interesting. And I think it's why we actually won. Okay. I think we actually have 2 of those.